с нашия пръв чуждестранен гост Тарас Черниенко от Украина. Нека го поканим сред нас на сцената. Hello, Taras.
Hello, Taras. Before we start, I'll just say two words. С Тарас се запознахме на Венецианското биенале 2019 година. Той беше част от украинския павилион, за който ще разкаже след малко. Но той ни е подготвил няколко минутна хореография за начало на презентацията си. Той самия е съвременен хореограф и музикален артист. Така че това е един жест към всички вас и след хореографията ще започне и неговата презентация.
Of broken homes, listen to your body and your soul and breathe. So do you dream of giving in to all your fears and all your sins? Of all these years of battling, left you wish what could have been, what could have been, what could have been, what should have been, what should have been relief. And do you look into the sky? Do you ever wonder why we're here, why we leave? Contemplate humanity. Listen up and listen hard. Listen, gaze into the stars and breathe. Why we leave, contemplate humanity. Listen up and listen hard. Listen, gaze into the stars and breathe. So throw yourself into the ring. Trust your heart and let it sing. Of all the places that you've been, the memories you're carrying, bring them up and share them loud and live in love. Do us proud and be yourself. And when's the last time that you cried? Was it when you said goodbye? Did all your lovers pass you by? Where were you when you and I said you and I were gonna make a try and try to make believe? So tell me this, won't you accept you're harboring your own regrets? Your mind's been made, your thoughts are set. So take a chance and place a bet and make your bed and rest your head and breathe. So look beneath the world you see, where love meets all infinity, where everything you thought you knew is turned around and born in you. You're born in you, you're born in you, you're born in you, you're born in you.
Hi everyone. Sorry, let me catch my breath a little bit. My name is Taras Cherniienko, and I'm a Ukrainian artist doing choreography, music, and lately I dabble in theater. So Let me just take a short look on the things that I do before I catch my breath.
Let's start it over from the very end until it uploads another one. Whatever it takes, no matter how long, I'll go all the way through. Beyond the border of our minds, this is the world in shape only known. This is the world we reach alone.
Could a body close the mind down, stitch a seam across the eye? If you can be good, you will live forever. If you're bad, you'll die. When you die, hearing only one true note on the one and only sound. Unzip my body, take my heart out.
Але це не завадило йому вийти та підтримати честь свого міста. Максиме, весь
This
майдан
one was for
Чернігів.
500 people,
Ми пишаємось тобою. Так тримати.
entirely amateurs that we choreographed. That was the biggest amount of people.
Бачите сірі костюми учасників
This is our theatrical. Yeah, now let me tell you about the topic. The topic is actually quite delicate. This is war and art and its interconnection between them. So here comes my story, how I became a war refugee. I never thought of myself being in such a place, but let's look at the war and what impact it had on our lives, creativity, people of Ukraine and me, because it's still in progress. So it's quite hurting, and maybe we can take a look at the things together and contemplate on how we can change our reality. Since I'm the witness and my life is related to arts, I decided it would be a good topic to come up, even though I didn't think of such a topic. But it came naturally. So the hell came crashing down on our heads on February 24. You probably know about that. So it came literally with missiles, and it was, making us really terror-stricken and petrified. And we heard about Russian troops and everything, wargaming at our borders, but nobody believed in such a terror that would unfold later on and that they would start a full-scale war. So it started at 5 o'clock in the morning, since we were all in bed, and there was a good move to take advantage of the situation. That's another part of art of waging war. So the bottom line, so many lives shattered, people are scattered around the world, families split up, and some of them, physical damage ensued with no hope of recovery. But still, in this situation, there are those who find themselves free enough and strong enough to create. And that's a miracle. That's a miracle that I'm going to research this time. So you probably know the famous book by Chinese Shanzu, The Art of War. So I'd like to paraphrase that into art and war. So there are two different views on reality. So to say, there's a rational and materialistic way which tells us to keep away from all the damage and all the chaos. But along with that comes a metaphysical and philosophical view which tells us that creation comes along with destruction. And it's an inevitable part of the cycle. And this is kind of a balance in our reality that we have to deal with, and which solves the eternal equation of symmetry of different opposites. So art we are driven towards art by war and by peace. It's both. But come to think of it, if we look at the disasters, natural disasters like floods and earthquakes, it comes naturally, and it's a natural part of a life cycle. When as the humanity creating hostility in our mind and designing an elaborate plan of one human being to annihilate another human being is a mystery. I don't know for what reason it happens, but it is. But I guess our global mission, to me, as I perceive it, is to get rid of the duality, since origin of war lies within duality. Concepts like good and bad, right and left, creating antagonism and making this happen. So if spiritually we perceive the whole process and two sides as a whole one, then we can manage it and balance it in a more delicate, humane way. That's what I think. As for me, well, as it all started out, I wasn't able of even thinking about doing arts or anything. I was literally paralyzed. But I can tell you about the project which relates to the topic. I happened to be, which happened back in 2019, and I was a performer at the Ukrainian pavilion at the Venice Art Biennale. The project was created by the Open Group, the collective of talented young Ukrainian artists, and it was bold, daring, and it was based on the biggest plane in the world at the time, Ukrainian manufacturer, which is under the name of AN-225, the biggest freighter in the world, of the biggest capacity ever. And our pavilion was designed into the interior of the plane, and the plane itself had to fly over Venice, carrying on its board the directory of all Ukrainian artists living at the time. And as if metaphorically trying to say that fly it low enough to cast its shadow over Biennale. So metaphorically speaking, it was like Ukrainian artists attempted to cast a shadow on the epicenter of European culture, and just to say aloud that we exist and we are also part of Europe. And this project was also about myth creation, because nobody believed that the plane was going to actually fly over the Venice, and it actually didn't. But Open Group made everything possible to make it happen, because it takes a lot of permits, bureaucracy and stuff, and it's quite costly. You know, one flight is about, I don't know, maybe $500,000. But we, as performers, we were inside the pavilion telling people these myths that it's going to fly, and we did make it clear whether it was real or not real. So people were hesitating and we were doubtful. Nobody took it. Some people took it seriously. Some people were angry because they were like saying, it's not going to fly. Why are you telling us that it's going to fly? We know it's wrong, it's a lie, but we kind of created a myth. And at the end of the day, some of the people came back to our pavilion and told us, actually we saw the plane flying. And they actually filmed it. as an evidence, and we were really, so this is how all the myths are generated and the rumors spread out, and it's still happening. So this was a sort of an experiment. And it's no surprise that this project about the plane relates to the topic because it has been destroyed by Russians. Because symbolically, it represents the biggest dream. The biggest dream, flying high. So, and it's a war between two mentalities. Ukrainian one, which is free enough to fly and express yourself, and Russian one, to enslave and to put you within a format and squeeze you into the narrow thinking. And this, by the way, its name, its code name in NATO is Cossack. Cossack is a national Ukrainian historical warrior who fought against all kinds of oppressors historically. So it made the plane the first priority target to destroy, and it actually happened. But you can destroy the plane, but you can't destroy people's dreams. So Ukrainians are still dreaming and materializing their dreams into reality, even though nobody believed we would like stand so long and so hard. And yeah, okay, and I would like to go back to the culture, and for me, I want to add from me that I think that culture and art operate in symbols and metaphors, making it possible to touch upon the most painful topics, and sometimes it heals and helps people live through tribulations, and the damage and destruction and pain depicted by artists affect people's mind and psyche and touches it deeply and changes reality. So art is a healer, and it's a cure. It's a cure. Speaking of my closest friends and acquaintances, a lot of people that I thought were strong, they turned out not to be that strong, and those who I didn't expect ever to show the guts, they did it, and it was like a rebirth of all of my surroundings, because I thought of myself I was much stronger than I turned out to be. What to say? And as an example, I have a really peculiar story. My old friend, that we used to be friends and colleagues, his name is Yura Bardash. He was born and raised in that part of Ukraine, which is industrial, and the eastern part, where it all started out. So he's pro-Russian. But he lived in Kyiv with me, and we worked together and created together. So you can actually check one of his works. He was very successful in terms of it's all the movie is the video is about miners who work hard in that part of Ukraine. So we worked together, and his success was really high. He was a music manager, he was an artist himself, he was a dancer and choreographer, just like me. We had a lot of projects in common, and he was very big in terms of popularity and everything. But when the war started, nobody thought it was coming from his side. He switched to the Russian side. Can you imagine? And he fled to Russia, and now he's promoting Russian artists, those who support Kremlin regime, and producing to encourage Russians to fight on. It's unbelievable. Life is full of paradoxes, and so you never know. But his story is quite ambiguous. His family, all his friends, all his team, they renounced him. Nobody want to hear of him any longer. So there's no chance of him to coming back and redeem, because the price is too high. It's thousands of people dying, and but let's do a short review on art and its functionality during war. So it's also controversial, and it works both sides. Art used to promote war, because all the dictators have their commissioned artists who create propaganda, right? And on the other hand, art is used to oppose war. It also, there's also a part of domain of people creating independently and agitating for peace and everything. So you can, if you look back in the history, you can see some of the masterpieces like well known, like by Pablo Picasso, Francisco Goya, Banksy, and it's all happening in the same way. Nothing. It's a little bit of history repeating, going around the spiral. Nowadays in Ukraine and Russia, yeah, we see the same picture, by the way. So right now I'm representing Ukrainian side, and my former friend and colleague, he represents the opposing side of Russia. I'd love to present to you some of the works of my real close friends. This is Max Burlaka. He's my close friend, and he created an inspiring take on war, like he calls it yoga, alarm yoga, how to deal with stress and everything, how to transcend into positivity from negativity, from fear, but by the help of yoga asanas. He finds a way out and leads people into positive thinking and humor. Just check it out.
З 24 лютого наші тіла постійно у стані стресу. Сирени піднімають рівень тривожності. Новини викликають ненависть до ворогів, хвилювання за країну, друзів та рідних. Спини зігнулись над смартфонами, мов великі знаки питання. Як жити
You're hunched back over the news and but
застосуйте цю енергію з користю для свого тіла.
Use the energy for
Та
the sake of your
підтримуйте
body
власний дух.
and to raise your spirits.
Йога за сигналом тривоги.
Alarm yoga.
Якщо чуєш цей сигнал, хапай килимок і шукай безпечне місце. Буде чудово, якщо зустрінеш таких же прекрасних однодумців. Поїхали. Перша асана. Встаньте рівно, ноги на ширині плечей. З'єднайте долоні перед грудьми. Відпустіть напругу з тіла. Вдих. Видих. Цією асаною ми дякуємо воїнам Збройних сил України, тероборони, добровольцям, медикам, волонтерам та усім, хто докладає зусиль, щоб відстояти нашу землю.
Yeah, and another friend of mine, Irina Ozarinska, she's a Venice-based artist. She created a series of pictures, and she calls it New Bodiness, how she reflects on mutilation and tragedy itself, and just to keep that in memory. So the overall picture, there's also a lot of different artists, poets and artists on music scene, and doing different tours around the country, performing for soldiers and common people, raising money for other people to help those people in need and support military by doing their arts. So a couple of them is Anton Slipakov, who does it on regular basis. He's a poet.
У кожного з нас буде свій персональний нік-кейв. Пляшка вина, притримана до перемоги. Перша кава у вашому місті, в улюбленому та заповітному місці. Перша нормальна ніч.
Yeah, and since I'm engaged in theater, I currently work in Nice. I'm located in south of France, and I work for theater, and I'm really into this. But these are the guys that I really respect, and this is a Ukrainian theater called Duck Daughters. So they have a part during the performance where the real alarm comes on, and they bring people to the bomb shelter, like, so that they know how it feels like in real life. And they're touring around Europe telling people about Ukraine and the situation, raising money for its support and everything. But my bottom line would be this, that war exists in our mind just because if we direct that war outside, not inside, not towards us, and not deal with our contradictions and duality, it's always going to be projected outside, and we will find hostility and everything. So this common energetic field that we create is very important. Each of you and each of me and each of us should be thinking positively, and personal victory inside is another drop in the ocean of the universal victory. So we have to start off with this, and it's very important. Art is a very important part of this, how we impact each other, tell the stories about, reflect on pain, and pass it on, and spread it out until we are united into one from duality. Peace, love, and harmony for everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Guys. Thank you.